Portfolio models are a type of model very often used by marketers and others to analyze a set of investments, either potential investments that we're looking at or investments we currently have, say a portfolio of products or a set of markets that we're entered in, and we make decisions based on our analysis of two dimensions. The two dimensions typically are our internal look at ourselves as far as how strong we are as a competitor in this market now, or how strong a competitor would we be if we entered this market, if it's a potential market. And those are things like, as we'll see in a later slide, brand loyalty, customer loyalty, brand equity, and various other aspects that show we are a strong competitor in that particular market. The attractiveness of the market is measured through things that you might find from a perceptual map study, from a Porter's 5 Forces standpoint, and other aspects of inputs that show you how big the market is, how fast it's growing, how competitive the situation is, etc. So the attractiveness of the market combined with how strong we are vis-a-vis that market leads us to know that this would be a better or not as good of an investment, and then act accordingly. The two most well-known are the late 1950s Boston Consulting Group, or BCG, Growth Share Matrix, which we'll look at next, and then the GE McKinsey Matrix, sometimes known as the GE Stoplight Model, because the colors of the cells are green for the cells where it's a good investment, and yellow where you need to be cautious, and red for it's not a good investment, you need to get out or don't enter this market. It's also known as the 9-cell matrix because it's generally depicted as a 3x3. This is the BCG matrix here. What we have here as a general philosophy is the cash cows are high market share, low growth rate products or brands that we have in our portfolio. And they have generally recouped all of our investment, or most of our investment, in their development and getting them to be a leader in the market. And therefore they have a high margin, and they spin off a lot of excess cash that we can use to invest in other things. The BCG philosophy is that you invest in question marks or stars. Question marks are generally newer products that haven't caught on. As you see, they have lower market share. And if we can do either experiments or some type of change in them, re-engineering or whatever, we might be able to jumpstart and get them over to higher growth rate, and therefore or higher market share, and be able to be the next stars. The stars are also early products that have a high growth rate and a high market share, and these we want to fuel because we're still rolling those out into other markets and growing, and it's the future of the company, kind of the lifeblood of the company. So cash cow, the cash flow from those mature products is used to fuel the question marks and the stars. Dogs are low both in the market share and growth rate, and therefore we look to get out of those markets either very quickly or over a period of time, and don't make any other investments in them. So we're looking at the newer model of the McKinsey GE matrix. This has market attractiveness and business strength as the dimensions, and the comprehensive tool that it was developed in seeking that type of tool by McKinsey Consulting and GE produced this very well-known matrix. We've got business strength and market attractiveness as the axes, as I said, and then when you have, if you were in Excel, you have a bubble chart, the size of the circle representing that market would be based on the size of the market, and then if you were already entered and you're analyzing a current investment, then there would be a shaded part of it, like a pie chart, a slice of the pie, representing the share held by the company that's doing the analysis. So this is what it would look like: business strength, market attractiveness, and we're looking at three different options here. And these are three where we already have an investment because we see the market share with the black cutout of the circle. This would also work for the new investments. You just wouldn't have the circle cut out. You would have the size of the market. You might have, potential share, but generally share is not shown if you're talking about a potential investment that you're analyzing, a particular segment that you're looking at. The ones, as I said before, would represent the best investments where you have a really good strength for that particular option, and the market is quite attractive given the dimensions that we're looking at. And on down with the 2s and 3s. Market attractiveness and business strength. Here are sets of typical sources for data that one would input into this type of model. Very quickly, the market attractiveness ones, you see some that are based on some of the factors that are considered in the Porter's 5 Forces model. For instance, you might do a perceptual map, and the input of that would let you know who, your biggest competitor, how serious they are, and how much you consider that to be pro or con as far as entering a market or staying in one. On the other side are your internal strengths we mentioned before as well, your brand equity, what kind of internal competencies you have, and several other things. Use that data to enter into generally this is built with 2 fishbone models, and then plotting those as a bubble chart or an XY scatter graph to analyze the data both visually as well as within the model.